All right. The GOAT, Caitlin Clark, had some things to say. Obviously, we saw the cryptic message Kelsey Mitchell put out there. Kelsey, you got to stop doing the cryptic messages, bro. You know it's going to stir the pot, girl. Come on now, Kelsey. I don't believe Kelsey is going anywhere. She is going to be an Indiana Fever. We got to get to what Caitlin Clark had to say, though. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video for your boy. Let's get into it. In an article here on Athlon Sports. Let's get to it. Here it says, Caitlin.
The enigmatic and scary statements went viral on the internet, igniting rumors about a cherished star's future throughout the WNBA. Rumors that the Indiana Fever star was about to undergo a significant transformation quickly spread after Kelsey Mitchell's unexpected message. However, the final demonstration of commitment and support came from an unexpected but crucial source before the dust had really settled. The league's spokesperson, Caitlin Clark, acted without hesitation. She entered the conflict with a clear statement that cut through the clutter and made it clear where her loyalty and the Fever's actually rested amid the whirling confusion, rather than with a denial or a question. Her response was unadulterated support for her teammates' audacious new endeavor.
That was the most disappointing thing. Hey, look, injuries happen. But I was looking forward to watching 44 games of Caitlin Clark destroying people. And we only got 13 games. Sad story. Due to multiple injuries, did not join. It says Clark, who played in just 13 games in 2025 due to multiple injuries, did not join the 3-on-3 Unrivaled League, despite reportedly being heavily pursued. There was speculation she would join in 2026 after opting not to participate in its inaugural season. Now, we know Caitlin Clark has dubbed Unrivaled every year. All the way, they tried.
The intriguing caption for Kelsey Mitchell's first post, which included pictures in an ambiguous New Jersey, said, "Eyes open, mouth closed." This instantly put fans and observers into a frenzy, believing that a significant trade or an unexpected break from the Indiana Fever was imminent. The message's cryptic style was archaic. Although Mitchell usually tried to keep everyone guessing, the stakes seemed particularly high this time. Was she really going to leave the team that had grown to be her workplace? The WNBA community as a whole held its breath, waiting to find out what this shocking news actually meant for one of its most intriguing players. The suspense was evident. This was more than a straightforward update. It was like an earthquake.
New Jersey, as she teased her upcoming appearance. Eyes open, mouth closed, Mitchell wrote in the caption of her post. Clark showed support for Mitchell by commenting on the post. She wrote, "Let's go, Kels." Mitchell will be playing alongside Sonia Citron, Ezzy Magbegor, Natisha Heidemann, Sanaya Rivers, and Mo Billings with the Hive BC in 2026. The team will be coached by Chicago Sky assistant Rena Wakama. The second season of Unrivaled kicks off January 5th. It will be interesting to see how Mitchell performs in the 3-on-3 setting. It's worth noting she led the Fever in scoring during the 25 season.
The new team that everyone was talking about was Hive BC, one of the new teams in the second season of Unrivaled, rather than a rival WNBA team. Mitchell was giving much-needed confirmation to the circulating speculations as she made her much-awaited debut in the 3-on-3 league, a completely different arena. This change to Unrivaled, a league created to give athletes more exposure over the summer, gave Mitchell a new challenge and a stage on which to display her abilities. By confirming that she wasn't giving up on the Fever, but rather broadening her professional horizons and adding another dimension to her already remarkable career trajectory, the clarification allayed many anxieties.
With Hive BC in Unrivaled, okay? Now we got to go over to front office sports, man. And shout out to Annie Costable. All right. Annie Costable had an article here titled "The Year of the WNBA's Extinctual Fight." And this could be do or die for the league. I think there's a lot of people in decision-making spots with the WNBPA who are a conflict of interest. And that's not like, That's not me looking at your character and saying it's a conflict of interest. It's me looking at the facts. When you are signed.
Caitlin Clark's response to Mitchell's article was prompt and clear, and it soon became the pivotal moment. "Let's go, Kels," she said bluntly, making a straightforward but impactful endorsement and encouraging message. This wasn't only a lighthearted comment. In a setting that is frequently rife with team rivalry and individual aspirations, it was a public show of unity from the biggest star in the game, indicating her complete support for Mitchell's journey into Unrivaled. The close-knit relationship inside the Fever organization was highlighted by Clark's obvious support. Her remarks weren't limited to Mitchell. They showed loyalty outside of the WNBA court and sent a message to the entire league.
I think there's a lot of people in decision-making spots with the WNBPA who are a conflict of interest. And that's not like, that's not me looking at your character and saying it's a conflict of interest. It's me looking at the facts. When you are signed with competitor leagues and you have stake in competitor leagues, I don't think you should be the one in charge of negotiating for another league. I just think that's a conflict of interest in any business. And that just is what it is. But she put in the article here, it says the WNBA year is ending.
Mitchell is not going into unparalleled territory by himself. A sizable proportion of her 2025 Indiana Fever colleagues have joined her. Additionally dressed for the 3-on-3 league are Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Erica Wheeler, Nalissa Smith, and Victoria Vivians. This extensive involvement from the Fever roster demonstrates a decision made by a number of important players to join Unrivaled in order to get exposure and competitive play during the WNBA offseason. In addition to giving Mitchell familiar faces, their presence raises Unrivaled's prominence by showcasing elite talent from one of the most talked-about teams in the WNBA.
Problem right there. That is what I'm talking about. WNBPA executive leaders Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart at the time. Negotiations had not yet taken off, but players took full advantage of the exposure they were receiving while playing in the new league based in Miami. Okay? So you had Unrivaled kicked off even before Unrivaled's inaugural season started. You had Angel Reese on her podcast saying that Unrivaled was going to be the only league players ended up playing in. Just for her not to end up playing in year 2. She skipped out on year 2. You see what I'm saying? So this is...
For the second year in a row, Caitlin Clark has opted out, while her teammates are competing at an unprecedented level. A choice based on an important personal priority. Clark is putting her recuperation first and making sure she is fully recovered for the forthcoming WNBA season after her debut year was marred by numerous ailments, which limited her to just 13 games in 2025. Although Unrivaled is apparently actively pursuing her, there is still talk that she will join in 2026. However, for the time being, she is only focused on getting better and being ready to rule the WNBA court without taking any more chances. Her long-term professional goals are demonstrated by her absence.
Was going to be the only league players ended up playing in. Just for her not to end up playing in year 2. She skipped out on year 2. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I mean, man. It's been a lot of foolishness going on. And then Nafisa Collier was quoted as saying, we didn't plan the league based on CBA negotiation. I think it did have a part. I think because y'all have clearly tried to use Unrivaled as leverage the whole time, even before the negotiations started, which is why Angel Reese was saying that Unrivaled was going to be the only league people was playing in. Y'all was trying to get rid of the WNBA. Y'all thought y'all...
Anyone familiar with Unrivaled's past will see the irony. The league has already made a significant effort to capitalize on Clark's star power and reputation after her inaugural season, despite her current absence. There was a strong drive to link her to the Net League, almost to the point that Clark had to formally disassociate herself, ending what seemed like a never-ending effort to profit from her extraordinary popularity. Given this historical background, her current steadfast support for Kelsey Mitchell is all the more significant as she advocates for her teammates' involvement in a league that she herself had to firmly but respectfully deny.
The backdrop for Collier and WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's now infamous, previously private conversation among Collier's accusations was that Engelbert has said Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything, right? So we saw how Unrivaled, I mean, just the whole thing kind of backfired with Kathy Engelbert having that conversation with her there. So it's just kind of like, I don't know if we're going to get to a place where we can get a deal done. I am hopeful. But I will, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to watch some Unrivaled because I want to cover.
But player opportunity isn't the only aspect of the Unrivaled tale. It is involved in a major and expanding debate related to the WNBPA. The co-founding of Unrivaled by WNBPA senior officials, particularly Enka Collier and Brianna Stewart, has revealed a serious conflict of interest. Serious concerns are raised by the fact that these same leaders are in charge of negotiating a collective bargaining agreement for the WNBA players, which sets their pay and working conditions. A possible imbalance of priorities within the Players Association is suggested by the dual jobs, which draw criticism and raise questions. The center of the nature of Unrivaled as a competing league is the source of tension. An unquestionable ethical conundrum arises when WNBPA executives are faced with negotiating the WNBA's future while also holding sizable investments in a rival organization. Critics contend that when these people's personal financial interests are connected to a rival business, they are unable to objectively support WNBA players. The event has raised questions about the integrity of the current CBA discussions, implying that the conflicting allegiances of people at the negotiating table may jeopardize the interests of the WNBA and its players. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement is a pressing issue amid this complex landscape of conflicting interests. In October of last year, WNBPA voted out of the CBA, indicating that they would prefer a transformative agreement to the previous one, which was scheduled to last until 2027. Both parties are currently in a high-stakes deadlock as negotiations have dragged on for more than a year. This quest for a new, more fair agreement for players highlights how crucial it is for the WNBPA to have strong, impartial leadership, which makes the conflict of interest with Unrivaled even more troubling. The extremely noticeable timing of Unrivaled's appearance raises additional suspicions. In January 2025, just as the WNBA CBA discussions were getting more intense, the 3-on-3 startup league began. This was more than just a coincidence. It fueled claims that Unrivaled was purposefully started as leverage in the current labor negotiations. It is believed that the league game would present itself as a competitive alternative, quietly forcing the WNBA to satisfy player requests. This will make the involvement of WNBPA leaders appear less like a happy accident and more like a premeditated action. WNBPA executive leader Enka Collier openly denied that Unrivaled was planned around the CBA negotiations, despite the obvious coincidence. Collier tried to minimize the controversy at the time by telling the media, "We didn't plan the league based on CBA negotiation." She later acknowledged that she had contradicted herself, saying, "But when we saw that the timing lined up, we said it was a perfect opportunity." This since many saw the ideal chance as a blatant sign of strategic intent rather than a coincidental coincidence. Equivocation did little to allay the mistrust among supporters and onlookers. Other well-known people were drawn to the dispute, such as Angel Rhee, who had earlier stated on her show that Unrivaled would be the only league players to join. However, Rhee herself chose not to participate in Unrivaled's second season, which sparked additional concerns about the league's stability and the reasons for such public endorsements. Her previous declarations and her later absence gave the unparalleled narrative, supporting the idea that the league's communication and its affiliation with the WNBPA leadership were erratic and possibly dishonest. Critics went so far as to publicly accuse the WNBPA leadership of using Unrivaled as a direct pressure tactic against the WNBA in the hopes of getting rid of them completely. It was thought that the Players Association regarded the new league as a means of posing an existential threat and compelling the WNBA to participate in CBA talks. If this aggressive posture is accurate, It presents a picture of strong internal turmoil and a propensity to push boundaries, turning what seems like a player-friendly project into a divisive bargaining chip in a much wider, high-stakes power fight for the future of professional basketball for women. Unrivaled added fuel to the flames by serving as the setting for a now-famous private discussion between WNBA Commissioner Kathy Angelberg and Nanka Collier. Tensions between the WNEPA and the league office substantially increased after this previously private conversation became public. An already delicate negotiating process was made more difficult by the intense debates setting within the rival league, which gave the impression that Unrivaled was not only a different playing field, but also a strategic staging area for direct confrontation. The rivals' territory was where the drama took place. In that heated exchange, one of the purported statement made by Angelbert regarding Caitlin Clark was the most devastating charge. According to reports, Angelbert stated that Clark should be thankful for her $16 million off-court earnings because she wouldn't have any money without the platform the WNBA provides. If true, this explosive comment shows a very problematic attitude from the WNBA commissioner toward the biggest star in the league, suggesting that Clark's enormous marketability is only a result of the WNBA rather than her own generational talent and influence. It challenged the idea of player worth itself and set off a firestorm. For Unrivaled, the public reaction from the Angelberg discussion turned out to be a significant setback. What was supposed to be a player platform? Instead, charges and debate centered on empowerment and a possible bargaining chip in CBA negotiations. The topic of discussion changed from its unparalleled potential to how it would worsen the already tense relationship between the WNBA and the WNBPA. In addition to complicating the ongoing labor discussions, this episode threw a shadow over Unrivaled, making it appear less like a standalone endeavor and more like a crucial, if problematic, component of the larger league disputes. It's important to keep in mind Kelsey Mitchell's on-court skill, which is what makes her unparalleled debut so captivating among all of this off-court controversy. She demonstrated her exceptional scoring prowess in the 2025 WNBA season, leading the Indiana Fever with an outstanding 20 points per game on a 45% field goal percentage. She became a powerful force in the league thanks to her steady play and leadership, which were essential to the Fever. Fans are now excited to see how her explosive offensive style will translate to Unrivaled's quicker 3-on-3 format, hoping she will continue to display her extraordinary talent. Caitlin Clark remains steadfast in her support of Kelsey Mitchell and her journey with Hive BC despite the complicated web of controversy surrounding Unrivaled. Clark's "Let's Go Kel" comment is a clear endorsement of her teammates' individual choice, separating player solidarity from the larger political challenges faced by the WNBA and the WNBPA. Although Clark herself will not be participating in the 3-on-3 league, her public support of Mitchell emphasizes a crucial aspect and strengthens the close camaraderie within the Indiana Fever. Even when negotiating the complex terrain of rival leagues and labor issues, players support one another's goals. Women's basketball has an intriguing, frequently turbulent landscape because to the interwoven stories of player ambition, net leagues, and high-stakes labor talks. In light of WNBPA disputes and contentious remarks, Caitlin Clark's support for Kelsey Mitchell's unparalleled debut highlights the complex issues facing the sport as the WNBA and Unrivaled negotiate their corresponding routes. Even in the face of severe institutional divisions, player unity is still a potent force. Will the combination of continuous talks and competing options eventually result in a better future for